A storm of shattered metal and fire raged across the frozen plains of Arthas 9 as the last human soldier staggered through a wasteland that once held a proud frontier city, yet now stood as a field of ruin and broken echoes. His armor was torn. His visor cracked, and blood dripped freely down his chest. But he refused to fall, for the oath he had made to survive meant more than his pain. The wind roared like an ancient beast, and the bitter cold clawed at his bones with fierce hunger, but he pushed on, driven by the faint hope that somewhere beyond the horizon, someone or something would answer his dying heartbeat. The ground shook as machines of war drifted overhead, their blue lights sweeping across the plains, searching for survivors, to eliminate or capture. He kept his head low, forcing his failing legs to carry him forward, each breath a war of its own. The human named Kale had fought through 3 battles in a single night, and the marks of those desperate struggles were carved into his flesh, yet his spirit refused surrender. With one final push, he stumbled toward a ridge, hoping it would shield him from the drones gliding through the stormy sky. But his strength faltered, and he collapsed, face first, into the snow. His vision blurred, and the darkness of unconsciousness crept in like a tide that promised silence forever. But before it claimed him, he saw something, a faint glow rising from the distance like a star descending toward the world. The light grew brighter, and brighter until it hovered above him, radiating warmth unlike anything he had felt in years. A soft, blue shimmer surrounded him, lifting his battered form from the freezing ground. He tried to speak, but his body could only tremble in response. The world faded, and he surrendered to that strange, gentle radiance. When Kale awoke, he found himself lying beneath a crystalline dome. Its walls pulsed with soft, azure light, filling the air with warmth and the gentle rhythm of life. He blinked through, the haze of lingering pain, struggling to understand where he was and how he had survived. He tried to sit up, but a voice as soft as flowing water whispered, "Rest, warrior. Your body has suffered beyond its limits." Kyle stilled. The voice was calm, powerful, yet soothing, unlike anything he had ever heard. He turned his head slowly, and there she stood in robes that shimmered like morning frost, with skin tinted the faint blue of starlit seas and eyes glowing with healing brilliance. She stepped closer, carrying an orb of living light that resonated like a heartbeat. "You are safe," she said. "I am Lysara, healer of the Blue Star Legion." Kyle had heard stories of them, warriors, scholars, and mystics who wielded energies that could heal or destroy entire starships. Yet seeing one up close was something he never imagined, especially on this forsaken world. Lysara extended her hand, and the light orb floated near his chest, releasing a warm wave that washed through him, knitting torn muscle and sealing bruised flesh. He felt the pain inside him melt away, replaced by a sensation like soft fire that breathed strength into every shattered corner of his being. "Why did you save me?" he asked. His voice cracked with exhaustion and disbelief. Lysara gazed at him, her expression unreadable. "For many cycles we have watched your people fight with courage, even in hopeless storms," she said. "You fought alone against impossible odds, and still you lived. Such will deserves to be saved." Kyle looked away, a sting rising behind his eyes. Though he had survived, he had lost everyone he fought beside. He had watched friends fall one by one until only he remained. The memory burned him more deeply than any wound. Lysara seemed to sense the ache in his silence. She knelt beside him, placing a gentle hand over his chest. "Your heart carries grief," she murmured, "but it still fights. That is why you are alive." Kyle took a breath, steadying himself. He looked into her eyes and found no judgment, only a strange sorrow, as if she too carried her own burdens. Lysara moved her hand, and the dome around them shimmered, opening a pathway beyond. He could see a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures humming with energy. "What is this place?" he asked. "It is an outpost of the Blue Star Legion hidden beneath the ice," Lysara replied. "We have remained unseen for many cycles, preserving life where we can." Kyle swung his legs off the healing bed, testing his strength. To his astonishment, he felt stronger than he had in days. He walked slowly toward the edge of the dome, observing the strange and beautiful architecture of the underground sanctuary. Lines of light pulsed through the floors like coursing rivers, and luminous platforms floated above the ground carrying supplies and tools. A few other Blue Star healers moved through the chamber, their robes trailing behind them like drifting nebula dust. Yet all seemed to keep a respectful distance, offering nods of acknowledgement, but nothing more. Lysara approached, Kyle with a slender device in her hand. She raised it, and a faint light scanned across his body, ensuring his healing was complete. Your recovery will continue over the next few hours, she said, but your life is no longer in danger. Kyle studied her. How long have you been here on this world? She answered. For more cycles than I can count, we watch the war from beneath the surface. We heal where fate leads us. Kyle's brow furrowed. You heal humans despite the conflict. Lysara nodded. All life is worth saving. Her words struck him like a soft blade cutting through doubt and fear. He followed her as she guided him deeper into the sanctuary. Its corridors glowed with soft azure mist, and the air was warm as though the walls themselves breathed. Life! Lysara stopped before a chamber filled with floating spheres of blue light. Here, she said, let the energies restore what remains wounded. He watched the lights swirl and dance, feeling them draw away the last remnants of pain. He let out a slow breath. This place feels alive. Lysara's eyes softened. Because it is Kyle, she said. The Blue Star Legion builds sanctuaries from living light. They grow like trees fed by the hope of those we heal. Kyle stepped closer to her. A question stirred in his mind, but he hesitated. Lysara noticed. Speak. He hesitated again, searching her eyes. Will I be allowed to leave? Lysara looked at him carefully. The war above remains dangerous, she said. But staying here forever would not honor your spirit. You have a path to follow. We will help you reach it. Kyle nodded, though part of him feared leaving this gentle refuge. After everything he endured, he felt a strange peace in her presence, a peace he had long forgotten. Lysara turned away, examining the orbs. Of light, yet her voice carried a deeper tone. There is another reason you were brought here. Kyle watched her. What reason? She faced him again, her expression solemn. The energies you carry are not normal. When I touched your chest, I felt a resonance, a power awakened by your will to survive. It is rare in humans, Kyle frowned. I do not understand. Lysara placed a hand on his shoulder. Her touch was warm, though her gaze held a storm. Within you lies a spark of astral potential. Something my people have only seen a handful of times across countless worlds. It means you can wield light. Kale stared at her, disbelieving. I am just a soldier. She shook her head. No, you are more. Kale felt the weight of her words pulse inside him. Stirring something he had never known, Lysara continued. The power within you awakened at the moment you refused to die. It reached out through the storm and called to us. Kyle did not know what to say. His life had always been defined by struggle, by survival, never by destiny. Lysara stepped closer, her voice soft. You are not alone in this, Kyle. Your path has intertwined with ours now. A sudden tremor shook the sanctuary. Crystalline walls vibrated, sending ripples of light flickering across. The chamber, Lysara's eyes widened. They have found us, she whispered, who Kale demanded, but he already knew the enemy forces, the same machines that hunted him across the plains. Lysara raised her hand, and the dome above sealed itself with a flash of light. She moved swiftly, pressing her palm against a glowing panel that activated a shield across the entrance. Stay behind me. Kyle ignored her warning. Without hesitation, he grabbed a fallen metal staff, one of the tools lying beside a workbench, and braced himself. The doors exploded inward, sending shards of ice and energy scattering across the chamber. Mechanical units stormed inside, their red optics scanning for targets. Lysara raised both hands, and a wave of blue energy burst outward, sending several machines crashing into the walls. Kyle lunged forward, striking another unit with the metal staff. His movements were instinctive, trained by years of battle, yet something new surged within him. A pulse of warmth erupted across his body, and the staff glowed faintly with blue light. He swung it again, and the impact tore through the machine with unexpected force. Lysara stared at him, astonished. "You can channel the light already." Kyle had no idea what she meant. He simply fought, driven by raw instinct and the desire to protect the one who saved his life. More machines poured into the room, but Lysara unleashed beams of healing energy, twisted into defensive shields. Redirected light burned through enemy metal. Kale and Lysara fought side by side, moving with shocking synchronicity, as if guided by a shared rhythm. At last, the final machine fell shattering against the glowing floor. Silence returned, broken only by Kyle's ragged breaths. Lysara approached him, laying a gentle hand on his arm. "You have done more than survive," she whispered. "You have awakened." Kale lowered the staff, breathing hard. He met her eyes, and in that moment he felt something shift between them, something unspoken yet powerful. Lysara continued, "We cannot remain here. The sanctuary is compromised. I will take you to the Star Spire, a place where your potential can be understood." Kyle nodded without hesitation. Wherever she went, he would follow. They moved through the shimmering corridors now, shaking with distant explosions. Lysara guided him toward a platform of light that rose like an elevator through the crystalline ceiling. The world above awaited. A blinding flash greeted them as they emerged upon an open, snowy field. The storm had calmed, leaving behind a frozen wasteland, illuminated by pale twilight. Lysara raised her hand, and a beacon of blue light shot into the sky. A moment later, a massive starship descended its hull, gleaming like obsidian wrapped in starlight. Its engines hummed with gentle power. The vessel landed, and a ramp extended toward them. Quickly, Lysara urged. Kale ran beside her, the cold air stinging his face. When they reached the ramp, a sudden blast struck the ground behind them, sending ice spraying in all directions. Kale looked back. A towering war mech was approaching, its weapons glowing with red fire. Lysara pushed Kale toward the ramp. "Go, I will hold it off." Kale's heart seized. "No, I am not leaving you." Lysara turned her head, her eyes softening. "Kyle, if you fall, your light falls with you." Her words struck him deeply, but he refused to move. "Not without you." He stepped forward, placing himself between her and the approaching mech. Lysara's breath caught at his act of defiance. She raised her, hands preparing to attack, but Kale lifted his own and something impossible happened. The air shimmered around him. A barrier of blue light erupted, forming a shield that deflected the mech's blast. Lysara gasped, "Your power is growing." Kale stepped forward, pushing against the onslaught. His body burned with energy, but he held firm. The mech prepared another shot, but suddenly a beam from the starship fired, striking it and sending it crashing into the ice. Lysara seized Kale's arm, pulling him up the ramp. They entered the starship, and the doors sealed behind them. The ship ascended, leaving the ruined battlefield below. Lysara turned to Kyle, breathing heavily. "You changed the moment you protected me," she said. "The light responded to your heart." Kale met her gaze. "You saved my life, Lysara, and now I save yours." She stared at him for a long moment. The cold healer's mask she wore began to fade, revealing warmth he had never seen. The ship soared through the clouds, breaking into the open sky and climbing toward the stars. Lysara stepped closer, her voice soft. "Kale, your journey has only begun. I will guide you every step you take." Kale felt a calm strength settle within him, something he had not felt in years. With Lysara by his side, he believed anything was possible. The stars opened before them, vast, endless, and full of destiny, and Kale, a once battle-scarred human, now walked a new path, not as a wounded survivor, but as a bearer of astral light, guided by the healer of the Blue Star Legion. And so their story truly began, a bond forged from struggle and hope, a future waiting to be written across the endless tapestry of the cosmos.